and Jordan the most compassionate policy.
In his address to the General Assembly, President Trump had little to say on Syria, congratulating Jordan for hosting the country's refugees, though he made no mention of Turkey, which hosts more than twice as many. Speaking back-to-back at the General Assembly, Turkish and US presidents had a brief encounter. It was the first since their relations hit a new low following mutual sanctions and tariffs that have been imposed over the last 2 months. Taking the podium after that private exchange, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan lamented the lack of support from the international community on the fight against terrorism and the humanitarian burden of refugees.
Those who equip terrorists with tens of thousands of trucks and cargo planes and many weapons will regret it in the future. Supporting terror groups while still keeping the doors closed to immigrants doesn't make anyone's future safer or brighter.
But the number of refugees and the cost of humanitarian aid continues to rise in the absence of a political solution. With the passive approach of the US, it was Turkey, Russia and Iran that secured a deal for cessation of hostilities in Idlib. Only a partial and temporary solution, given that resolutions at the UN have been repeatedly vetoed by Russia, a close ally of the Syrian regime. Unlike the General Assembly, resolutions adopted by the Security Council are the only binding decisions, but it has only 5 permanent members with veto power. And that means a single country's agenda could be imposed on the rest of the world. Representatives of civil society have also pointed to the unfairness of the UN structure.
The most powerful countries in the world sitting in the permanent members of the Security Council have to carry a huge amount of the blame. They have been pathetically negligent in the fact that they have basically been using vetoes and threatening to use vetoes to prevent us from moving forward.
In his address, Erdogan called for a fairer system of representation at the Security Council.
Our world does not reflect the post-World War II conditions anymore. We have 194 countries here. Why can't they all be represented at the UN Security Council by rotation?
Until then, millions of lives around the world will still be at the mercy of a consensus by the 5 permanent members. Ediz Tiyansan, TRT World, United Nations.